So, have you ever wondered why two intelligent, thoughtful, and compassionate people can look at the exact same situation or issue and walk away with completely different conclusions? Well, as a trauma therapist, I've been thinking about that question, especially over the last few years. Not because I'm trying to figure out who's right or who's wrong, but because I'm fascinated with something much deeper. So, what I'm looking at is, how do human beings become the people they are today? And one of the core principles that guides my work is this: if we want to understand a person, we have to understand how they became the person they are today. So when someone walks into my office, I don't begin by asking, "What's wrong with you?" I might ask, "What happened? What relationship shaped you? What experiences influenced you to see yourself and the world?" Because people don't develop in isolation. We are shaped by our attachment relationships, by our families, by our culture, by our communities, by our socioeconomic experiences, by our education, by our successes, our losses, and trauma. Those experiences shape more than memories. They shape what we notice, what we fear, what we value, and what we believe. They also shape how we interpret the world and ultimately how we make decisions. That doesn't mean our experiences determine every choice that we make, but they do influence the lens through which we see the world. And I think that's something worth understanding, because here's what I've learned. Most of us spend a lot of time judging decisions, defending decisions, debating decisions. Very few of us maybe don't stop and ask ourselves, how did this person arrive at this conclusion? Now, let me be clear. Understanding is not the same thing as agreeing. It's not the same as approving, and it's certainly not the same as removing accountability. We can hold people accountable for their choices while still being curious about their experiences, beliefs, and values that shape those choices. In fact, I think curiosity makes us wiser. That's what this series is about. Not telling you what to think, not telling you what to believe, and certainly not expecting us all to arrive at the same conclusions. Instead, I would like to invite you into something that I think is much more valuable: curiosity. Curiosity about yourself, curiosity about other people. So together we're going to explore questions like, what are values and how do they develop? How do early experiences influence the way that we see the world? Why do intelligent people disagree? Why do our brains sometimes rationalize decisions that don't fully align with our values? And what happens when two important values come into conflict? Other things we'll explore, like, how do cognitive biases influence the way we interpret information? How do prejudice and assumptions develop, often without us realizing it? And why is reflection such an important part of thoughtful decisions? And what responsibility do we have when our decisions not only affect ourselves, but our families, our communities, our organizations, or even society as a whole? We'll even explore how these questions show up in real life through real life conversations about leadership, technology, business, and ethical challenges that come up with living in a rapidly changing world. Because whether we're deciding how to raise our children, how to lead a company, how to care for our clients, how to respond to new technology, or how to engage as citizens, every decision begins with something. It begins with something deeper, the experiences that shaped us. Through this series, I'm going to invite you to slow down and ask questions that don't always have easy answers. Questions like, what experiences shape the way I think? What values do I want to guide my life? And am I making this decision intentionally, or am I reacting or responding automatically? And what assumptions might be carrying that have stopped me to examine, or that I've never stopped to examine? We might be, excuse me, who might be affected by this decision? And am I willing to stay curious when someone else's perspective challenges my own? As a therapist, I don't believe self-awareness is about becoming perfect. I believe it's about becoming intentional, because awareness creates reflection, reflection creates intention, and intention helps us make decisions that are more aligned with the person we hope to become. So, if you're willing, I invite you to join me, not on a journey to find all the right answers, but on a journey to better understand ourselves, to better understand one another, and to ask better questions. Because I believe that when we understand how people become who they are, we become more thoughtful in how we respond to them and to ourselves. Welcome to the Psychology of Intentional Decision Making series. I hope you'll join me. So let's begin.